Well, you know what? We've been doing this show for several years now, and there's
Uh,
been several other podcasts before it, but I kind of feel like all the roads have been leading to this moment. Weird Paul, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Now your online persona is Weird Paul, so I'm just gonna call you that.
Thank
If
you.
you don't mind.
That's what
I
most
just
people call me.
Good. Well, welcome to Good Movie Monday. It's a pleasure to have you. I totally dig what it is that you do, and we're kind of all about that here on the show. But there's going to be a lot of people listening that have never heard of you before, so let's do a bit of an introduction. How would you describe yourself to those people?
Where do I start?
It's all in the name, hey?
I guess so. Well, I guess one of the more interesting things about me is I've been creating content for about 45 years now. I'm
Hmm.
52. I started doing it at a very young age, first on audio cassettes, then on video cassettes. And so I've been making, my own videos for my own movies for a very long time. I've also been writing my own music and songs since I was in high school. So I've amassed quite a body of work already, even at age 52. I've probably produced at this point more stuff than most people produce in their entire lifetime, I would say.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. So take us right back to the start. Like, why did you decide to start recording all of this stuff? Like, for people that don't know, when you talk about you've been doing this since you were a kid, a lot of people have come to know you from your like your TikToks, your Vine videos, your Instagrams of videos you made as a teenager or even younger still, lip syncing songs, just making sort of short films and things like that. Like, where did this all stem from? What gave you the impetus to pick up a camera and document stuff when there's no preconceived notion of the internet?
I was just from a young age driven with a desire to create. It was just it was just destiny for me. That's the talent that I was given, that I should just be creating stuff nonstop. And my dad was into tech, early adopter of new tech. So he got an 8-track recorder first. That was probably 1976, I would say, 1976. So I was already had heard my voice played back on that. I was really into that idea that you could capture a moment in time and then experience that moment in time again. It's like the closest thing to a time machine, that exists, is having some sort of recording of a moment. And so then my dad bought a regular audio cassette recorder, and that's something that I just started using daily. I just kept making tapes. I still have, tons of those, and that's content that I haven't really even shared with the world yet at this point. Then
Incredible.
yeah, then in 1984, that's when we got a video camera. And that was just, a lot of people say, how did you get the idea to make videos? It really wasn't that much of a jump from already doing it on audio tape to doing it on video. And I'd seen there were a couple shows on TV, and this was long before like the America's Funniest Home Video type of thing, where people were showing their home videos that they made with their camcorders. And this was in like 84, it was that early. And I was inspired by that to make content that I thought other people would enjoy. That was really my goal at the time. I want to make videos that could be on television, just like what I'm seeing here. And I had no actual plan of getting
Yep.
them on television, but I wanted people to be able to see the stuff I made. And it took half of my life before that could be a reality, but it has
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, totally. Like, do you remember what the first video was that you ever made?
The first video I made, well, after the initial just turning it on and saying, "Oh wow, we have a camera," and filming it, the first thing I filmed was someone's bowel movement in the toilet, and then my dad was really upset when he saw that I had filmed that, and he just took the camera away, and I wasn't even supposed to be using the camera. That's the thing that a lot of people don't even see here, is that my dad said, "You're not allowed to touch this thing. It's not a toy." But I didn't listen to him at all, because that I knew that wasn't my destiny to not be touching this camera. So he took the camera away. He said, "Erase the tape. I don't want to see." And unfortunately, that footage doesn't exist anymore. That's lost.
Ah, I mean, is
But
that a
he
bad
took
thing?
the camera away. Yeah, I hate for anything to be lost. I hate for any media to be lost.
Yeah.
But anyway, he took the camera away. He said, "You're not going to be able to use it again for a month." And of course, with my charm and my wiles, I was able to get the camera back that afternoon.
Oh, amazing. Well, and we all benefit from that. But obviously, you can cram like so many hours of video into a VHS tape, particularly if you have like long form and whatnot. But How did you archive them back then? Like, did you have a library or some kind of system?
Well, yeah, each tape was numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and we
Right.
gave each tape a title. This is what I'm saying. I mean, this wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to sit down here and babble into this thing, and then we just put it aside. No, this was all very explicitly. This was done with a real archiving sense. Every tape had a name. Every tape had a handwritten list of every single thing that was on it in order. So, I wanted, and we would constantly rewatch the stuff. I'd say, remember the thing where we did this, and then I'd go find it and we'd watch it. So, or I would do like a little. I'd say, we're going to do a little movie night tonight. It's going to be all videos where had this thing in common or whatever. So that was absolutely not. It wasn't like this is junk. We took care of them, and when I moved out, they were just kind of considered family property. They belonged to the entire family. When the internet came along, I said, okay, I'm taking these now. This is my future. It's my past and also my future at the same time. So
amazing. Well, my co-host can't be here at the moment because he's off traveling around the world, but we both come from video store backgrounds. I used to own a store, and this is back in the VHS days. So I'll tell you what, we appreciate the whole documentation of archiving the tapes and whatnot. I love to listen about that. And the other thing is, you don't just collect footage and content like that. You collect all kinds of weird stuff. As people can probably see watching the video behind you, you just collect memorabilia and all kinds of nostalgic stuff. You're like a window into the past, mate. I saw the other day.
I feel like.
Yeah, no, go on. I was going to say, I saw the other day.
Saying, I feel like in another life I would have been an archivist, but that's I don't have time to do everything.
One of the things I saw the other day was that you had like packets of straws from the 80s.
Right.
What possesses you to keep stuff like that? Like back then, like, I mean, I understand the videos, but like packets of straws, where does that come from?
I mean, there's a really part of it is just a very deep nostalgia.
Yeah.
For that kind of thing. When I see something that I remember having in the house as a kid, and I haven't seen it in 35, 40 years, part of me wants to bring that back into my life. I want that to be, it's important. It's somehow just important to me. I don't know. Then there's another part of me that says, this is just important to future people that need to be aware of this. Nobody has this kind of thing. It's not, you try to Google it, you're not going to find it. I feel like it's not even, there's so little. People think the internet, everything's on it. Wikipedia is just full of all human knowledge. Absolutely incorrect. Yeah. And so somebody needs to pick up the slack. There's a lot of people doing it, but I'm just one of them. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, plastic straws are practically a thing of the past. So, visionary. You're visionary.
The packaging, though. It's the packaging that's important.
Yeah. One of the things I love most about you is actually the music that you make.
Thank you.
How many albums do you have now?
I think I've released 32.
Oh, incredible. Have you always rocked it solo? Have you ever performed in bands and things like that?
Oh, well, there were different times in my life when I said, I want to start a band with this particular intent. For a while I didn't want my name like associated with a project. I just wanted it to be, there's this band and I happen to be in it, even though I was writing all the songs and everything. Yeah. But different times in my life. So I do currently have a band too called the Weird Paul Rock Band. See, now I put my name right in there, right dead center. But I've had a bunch of side projects, all kinds of things. I've just, even when I was a teenager, I made an album with both of my sisters separately. I made an album with my little brother. I was trying to create as much as I could with anybody that'd be willing to do it with me.
It's amazing. I've been listening to your music a lot lately, just, knowing that I was going to be talking to you, and you're really hard to pigeonhole. And that's the best thing about it. And if I had to compare for the sake of people listening that haven't heard your music before, I'd say you're like this fantastic blend or middle ground between Sparks and Ween. I don't know if you know those bands, but you're right there.
Two of my favorite bands. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, you're right in the middle, mate. Like, because I adore them, and I've been listening to your work, and they say that there's observational comedy, but I think you're observational music, if that makes sense. Would you describe yourself as that?
Sense.
Because
I never heard that before. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Your song titles, like, they're hilarious. The lyrics are quite often brilliant descriptors of everyday life, and I'm just going to run through a few titles now for people listening. You got Pot of Macaroni, one of your most famous ones. Hello Kitty Necklace, Hot Water Heater, Hippie of the Woods with an iPhone. I love that. My favorites, Pop Tarted. I love that. This guy's got a bone disease and Piss on a Sick Kid. Take us through the process. I assume the titles come first?
Yeah, usually the way that songs mostly come to me is something I'll overhear somebody saying something. Sometimes it'll be just out in a public place, or I'll be just doing some mundane thing, doing the dishes, using the toilet, whatever. And I'll just start singing about what I'm doing. And to a little made up melody. These melodies just come into my head constantly. It just comes right out of my mouth. Instead of talking, I'm singing it. And I'll grab my tape recorder and just sing it right into there. So that's a chorus. And I have thousands of those just on tapes that I haven't even used, you know. So I just go through those and I'm like, oh, this is the one I want to finish today. And then I'll write the rest of the song. But that's how I come up with this stuff.
I love it. I love it. Do you have a favorite of your own?
Oh, I don't know. I think Peanut Butter Recall, I think, is one of my best songs. Maybe I got drunk at Chuck E. Cheese is another one that I think is a very, very good, well-written song.
Oh my goodness. Like we are playing two of your songs on today's show. And one of them's I Can't Stop Eating This Candy and Dopamine Hit. But it's technically three songs if you include Pay for Your Tacos Quickly and Securely. Like that I have that in my head all the time, and my wife is probably sick of it by now. It's great.
Sure. The shorter the better, because then people listen to it more times.
Mate, I fucking love your brain. It's hilarious. And so creative. And then came the documentary, this film all about you. How did that come about?
Well, that was the second documentary about me. The first one came out in 2006, and then I was approached by these people from Hollywood. They work on the show on Nat Geo called Life Below Zero. I don't know if you've heard of that show. Mm-hmm. But okay, well, they were working on that show. Their background was in reality TV, and they said they were trying to start their own documentary company, and they were looking for their first subject for a movie. And so they asked me, you know, if I was interested. And so much had happened in my life since the one before that it's just like it seemed like there was a lot more to tell by then. The first movie was just kind of about my music. After that documentary was made, the internet came into kind of fruition and social media. So now there's this whole other aspect to my life. And so I told them, well, if you don't make it, someone's going to. And they said, no, we'll make it. We'll make it. So that's how that all started. And I still really feel like there's going to be another documentary someday about me, because I don't feel like the entire story has not been told yet.
I really hope so. Did this one do much for your profile?
I don't really, you know, I mean, it got seen a little bit. I don't really feel like it didn't really get out there in the public eye as much as it could have, you know, like it didn't really play at a lot of festivals or get on any really big streaming platforms or anything like that. But, you know, I did get some people coming in saying, I think it's more now where people find me on TikTok, say, and they don't know anything about me. And then they find out about the movie and then they watch it. And then that gives them a little bit more, you know, of a resource to like understand who I am and what they're watching, instead of just seeing some random person on the internet. So
yeah, I mean, that's precisely right, because I knew of you for several years. I've known your face. I've known a lot of your videos from the Vine days, but it was this documentary that opened my eyes and let me into your world, and not only saw your process, but just how seriously you take it. And that's, you know, just mad respect, man. Mad respect.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been taking it pretty serious my whole life. I mean, even when I was a teenager, it was just that my actors were only my family, and you know, I would say I would give them the direction. I mean, I took directing very seriously. It's just I couldn't get them to understand my vision.
Well, you know, I do hope there's a second film in the works, or third, I should say, because the world needs more Weird Paul. We have to wrap it up here, mate. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us on the show, and I hope a lot of people listening to this go and do a deep dive into the whole Weird Paul world.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.